Hi there, this is Reddit Reveals. Stick around for the story and don't be shy. I'm genuinely curious what you'll think by the end. She held the phone 2 inches from her mouth, whispering, like I couldn't hear her, just because my eyes were covered. I wasn't asleep. I was pretending. The gauze across my face made it look like both my eyes were out. But only one had been operated on. Detached retina happened after I fell off a ladder fixing the gutter. Freak accident. Left me half blind for about 3 days. Fully patched up, sunglasses over the bandage. I guess to her, I looked like some helpless dog on the couch. She sat on the far side of the kitchen, facing away from me, speaking low. I could hear every single word. No, he can't see a thing. It's kind of funny, honestly. He just lays there like a lump. Silence. Then a giggle. I know, it's like taking care of a blind old man. I even have to help him pee. More silence. Then, I wish it was you here instead. Quick note. Before we keep going, drop a comment with what city or country you're watching from. I should have said something right then, but I didn't. I laid still, sweating, heart racing, face burning under the bandage, my good eye wide open behind the shades. Listening, she kept talking. Tonight? Probably not. He's stuck home all week. I'll say I'm going to Walgreens or something. That's when I sat up, real slow. Let the blanket fall. She didn't hear me. I stood. Took 3 steps toward her. I was maybe 8 feet away when she finally turned. She froze like she got caught shoplifting. Eyes locked on the gauze, then down to my feet. I took off the sunglasses. Let her see the left eye, working just fine. She didn't breathe. I pointed at the phone. Call him. Nothing. I stepped closer. Call him. Tell him I'm done. Right now. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The phone was still in her hand. She tried to tap it off, but I reached out and snatched it. She flinched like I was going to hit her. I wasn't. I never have. But she looked like someone who expected it. The screen was still open. His name was saved as Eli, work. Cute. I tapped speaker. Mel? A man's voice said. You still there? I said, loud and clear. She's not coming tonight. And I'm not blind. Then I threw the phone into the sink and turned on the garbage disposal. The second that phone hit the disposal, she snapped out of whatever frozen trance she was in and rushed toward the sink, like I'd just tossed in a baby. I didn't let her get there. I stepped in front of her and dropped my hand on the switch, letting the grinding metal tear through that phone until it stopped making noise. She stood behind me, breathing fast, eyes darting around the kitchen like she was trying to find the exit. Who is he? I asked without turning around. No answer. I faced her. Who is he? She opened her mouth, but all that came out was some half-assed stutter about work and stress and me being distant lately. You called him from 20 feet away while I was laying on the couch recovering from surgery, I said. You whispered sweet little lies while I was sitting there blind in one eye and you thought it was funny. It's not what you think, she said quickly, too quickly. Don't say that stupid line to me. I swear, Curtis, it's not. I slammed my palm on the counter so hard it made a glass rattle in the sink. Do not lie to me right now. Do not insult me worse than you already have. She went quiet, biting her lip, eyes tearing up. And that's when I saw it. The way she stood there, like she was the victim. Like I just exposed her private moment, and I should feel bad for ruining it. I couldn't even look at her. I walked out of the kitchen, into the hallway, and straight to our bedroom. She followed me, rambling, her voice high, breathy, panicked. I just needed to feel something. I've been drowning in this routine, and you've been so closed off for months. You don't talk? You don't even look at me anymore. I look at you every day, I snapped. You're just too busy looking at someone else's phone to notice. She tried to grab my arm. It wasn't about him, Curtis. It was about me. I don't even care about Eli. Don't say his name, I growled. That shut her up for a second. I grabbed my duffel from the closet, started throwing clothes in without folding. I was done. I didn't want to hear her try to spin it or gaslight her way out of this. You're leaving? She asked, suddenly small. No. You are, I said. Go stay with your sister. Go sleep in your car. I don't give a darn, but you're not staying here tonight. Her mouth opened like she was about to argue, but she saw something in my face that made her close it again. She turned and walked out of the room. I heard her upstairs 15 minutes later, dragging out a suitcase, calling her sister in a hushed voice. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the dresser mirror. The bandage was still over my right eye, swollen and red underneath. I looked awful. Like a guy who just got kicked by the person he trusted most. I wasn't thinking straight. My mind kept looping everything she'd said, not just to him, but to me. The nights she told me I was being dramatic. The times she said she was just going to Target. The times I felt something off and let her talk me down. I didn't say a word to her when she came back downstairs with her bag. She stood in the doorway like she was waiting for some parting speech or final blowout. I didn't give her one. I just pointed to the door. Curtis, she said quietly. Please don't tell the kids yet. Let me explain it to them when the time comes. You don't get to decide when the time comes, I said. You already lit the match. Now you'll deal with the burn. She left without another word. I stood there in the silent house, half blind, heart pounding, with nothing but the hum of the fridge and the faint smell of her perfume still in the air. I wanted to break something. I wanted to scream. But instead I grabbed my keys and drove straight to my brother's house. I wasn't going to sit around in that bed we used to share, picturing what she'd done in it behind my back. When I pulled into his driveway, he was already standing outside, like he could smell the disaster coming. When I got out of the truck, my brother Nate didn't ask a single question. Just looked me over, swollen eye, no bag, same clothes from the day before, and gave me that slow head shake like he already knew. He pushed open the front door without a word and went straight to the fridge, pulled out 2 beers, handed me one, and sat down at the table. I didn't even want the drink. I just needed to sit. My body felt like it had aged 10 years in the past 3 hours. He finally broke the silence. Melanie? I nodded once. You want to tell me what happened? I rubbed my face with both hands, then looked at him. She's been with some guy named Eli. Been going on who knows how long. I caught her talking to him this morning. Thought I was blind because of the surgery. She was whispering to him right there in the kitchen. Nate whistled under his breath. Dang, that's cold. It gets worse. I didn't even catch her with him. I caught her planning it. Like it was a normal errand. Said she was going to run to Walgreens. Nate leaned back in the chair, eyes narrowed. How long you think it's been going on? No idea. Long enough for her to be comfortable lying to my face in my own house while I'm recovering. That says enough. He nodded again, slow and deliberate. You tell the kids yet? I looked away, and not yet. She asked me not to. Gonna honor that. I don't know. I told her she lit the match. I'm not putting the fire out for her. We sat in silence for a bit. Just the buzz of the kitchen light and the occasional creak from the old floorboards. He finally stood up and walked to the sink. You staying here for a while? Just tonight? I can't sleep in that house right now. You want me to go over there and get your stuff? No, I said. She's not staying. Yeah, I kicked her out. He raised an eyebrow. You sure that was the move? She made her move. I made mine. He didn't argue, just nodded and grabbed 2 plates from the cupboard. You want eggs? I shook my head. I want a plan. Nate paused mid-reach. A plan? Yeah. I'm not just going to sit around licking my wounds while she cries her way into sympathy points. I need to know what she's been doing, for how long, And with who else? I want facts. I want her cornered. He gave me a look. You're serious. She lied to my face while I was blind in one eye. She called me useless. She laughed about it. Nate set the plates down. All right. What do you need? You still got that buddy at Verizon? He grinned. The one who helped me find out Shannon was texting her trainer? Heck yeah. What do you want from him? Her call logs. Everything. He grabbed his phone. Say less. I sat there while he made the call, listening to him lay it out casually like we were just planning a fishing trip. When he hung up, he looked at me. He'll have it by tomorrow. You sure you want to see all that? I'm done pretending I don't already know. That night, I slept like garbage on Nate's lumpy guest couch, the air too cold and my head too hot. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face when I said, call him. That stupid expression, like she couldn't believe I had the nerve to speak, like she was the one being betrayed. In the morning, Nate knocked once and came in holding a manila envelope. He dropped it on the table in front of me. There's your truth, he said. I opened it, and I swear, the second I saw that first number, one she'd called every single day for the last 6 months, my hand started shaking. It wasn't just Eli. There were 3 different numbers on that list she'd been regularly talking to. One of them was saved as J. I stared at the list like it was written in another language. Eli's number was there, sure, but that wasn't the part that hit me in the gut. It was the other 2. One labeled J, just a single initial, and another with no name at all, just a number. Both had regular activity, daily calls, multiple texts, morning, lunch, midnight, for months. It wasn't just cheating. It was strategy. She rotated them, like a schedule. Nate leaned against the counter, watching my reaction, but not saying a word. I flipped through the pages, each one worse than the last. Then, this wasn't some one-time mistake, some emotional slip. This was a lifestyle. And I'd been living next to it every single day, sleeping beside it, cooking for it, paying bills for it. I felt sick. She's a real serial, I muttered, my voice low. Nate raised an eyebrow. You mean cheater? No, I mean a serial actor, I snapped. I've been living with Meryl Streep. You know how many nights she cried in front of me because I missed one of her work events? You know how many times I let her gaslight me into thinking I was the problem? He nodded slowly. So, what's your move? I set the pages down, hands shaking. I need to know who Jia is. Nate walked over. Reverse lookup? Yeah, but I also want to see her face when I ask. I'm going to give her a chance to lie again, just once. Let her dig her hole. You want to meet her? I looked him dead in the eyes. No, I want to invite her over. That evening, I sent her a text. You can come by tomorrow and pick up the rest of your stuff. I'll be there. We need to talk. She replied in under a minute. Thank you. I'd rather talk face to face. I'm sorry, Curtis. Sorry. Right. I bet she was. Sorry, I didn't stay blind. Sorry, I didn't roll over and let her sneak out with her Walgreens bag every Thursday night. But sure, let's play it her way one more time. Face to face. I spent the next day prepping. I printed copies of the logs and highlighted the numbers. I laid them out on the dining table like it was a courtroom exhibit. Eli J. unknown times, durations, frequency. I didn't yell. I didn't throw things. I just organized it all like the evidence it was. At 6 o'clock sharp, she pulled into the driveway. I saw her from the kitchen window, adjusting herself in the rearview mirror, like that was going to make a difference. She came in without knocking, holding her keys in one hand and a forced smile in the other. Hey, she said gently, setting her purse down. Sit, I told her, nodding toward the table. She sat, eyes flicking down to the papers in front of her. Her smile faltered. I went ahead and pulled your call history, I said flatly. Wanted to understand what I was really dealing with. Her face drained so fast it was like someone pulled the plug. She didn't even pretend to ask how I got it, didn't even bother with a fake protest. I pointed at the highlighted name. Eli, we know. But tell me, who's Jay? She opened her mouth, paused, then shut it again. I leaned in. Say it. Go ahead. I want to hear you lie one more time. Her eyes welled up and her voice cracked. Jared, he's from my gym. Your gym, I repeated. The one you quit last year? She looked down, caught. You've been seeing him longer than Eli? She nodded once. And the third number? Her silence said enough. You don't even know who that one is, do you? I asked. Why, you erased the name. That's how many there are, yeah. You couldn't even keep track. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Oh, shut it, Melanie, I cut in. You scheduled this. I've seen warehouse shifts less organized than your cheating calendar. She wiped a tear and reached for her purse. You're not crying your way out of this one, I said. You wanted to talk face to face? Let's talk. I'm divorcing you. I've already got the lawyer lined up. You'll get served by the end of the week. Her head snapped up. You're serious? Dead serious. Then I reached down, grabbed the envelope, and dropped it in her lap. You can take your lies with you. She didn't even touch the envelope, just stared at it like it might explode if she moved. I watched her chest rise and fall, her fingers twitching, her lips slightly open but not saying a thing. I wasn't giving her the space to weep her way through this. I wasn't going to sit there and comfort the same person who made a fool out of me for months, maybe years. You know what's wild? I said, leaning back in the chair. You didn't even try to be clever about it. You were just lazy. You thought I was too checked out or too dumb to notice. You got sloppy, Mel. She finally spoke, voice hoarse. I didn't think it would turn into anything. At first. At first, I laughed once, sharp and humorless. You had 3 different men on a rotation, and I'm supposed to believe this started as what? A one-time slip? I was lonely. I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. You were bored. There's a difference. She looked down. I'm not defending it. You don't have to. I already saw enough. She finally stood, picked up the envelope like it weighed 50 pounds, and walked toward the door. For a second, I thought she might say something halfway decent. Maybe an apology that didn't feel like a line from a cheap soap opera. But no, just as she reached for the handle, she turned back and said, I hope one day you'll see I wasn't happy either. That was the moment I realized she didn't feel guilty. She felt caught. That's all it ever was. Not regret, just exposure. I didn't answer her. I just opened the door for her and shut it the second she crossed the threshold. She stood on the porch for a few seconds. Like she expected me to open the door again. I didn't. I waited until I heard her car back out of the driveway before I let myself breathe. The silence that followed was worse than the yelling, worse than the discovery. I walked through the house and saw everything with new eyes. The couch we bought together, the blanket she used when we watched movies, the stupid little bowl by the door where she kept her keys, probably the same ones she used to sneak off and meet them. It all felt fake now, like a prop house used for some twisted play I didn't even know I was starring in. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I stayed on the couch with the TV on low, just enough to drown out the ringing in my ears. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see her whispering into that phone, smiling while she told some other man I was pathetic and couldn't see a thing. The next morning, I called the divorce lawyer Nate recommended. A guy named Shelby Drummond, hard-nosed, expensive, but worth every penny if even half the stories about him were true. I gave him everything, the call logs, the timeline, the names I had. He barely blinked, said it was enough to get started, and asked if I wanted to go for full custody of the kids. That stopped me. We haven't told them yet, I admitted. Don't wait too long, Shelby said. They'll hear it from someone else if you don't. He was right. I had to own this. I couldn't let her twist it, couldn't let her start building a sob story before I told them the truth. I hung up, took a breath, and grabbed my phone. It was time to call the kids. Time to break the illusion. Talk cues. I didn't call the kids right away. I stared at my phone for a full hour, scrolling through old photos of us at the lake, birthdays, random Tuesday dinners. My son Owen was 15. My daughter Haley just turned 12. They weren't little anymore, but they weren't ready for this either. No kid ever is. And no matter how I worded it, their world was about to split in half. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to drop a bomb and walk away from the crater. Eventually, I picked up the phone and called Melanie's sister, Rachel. She was the only one in her family I halfway trusted. If anyone had the balls to be honest with me, it was her. She picked up on the second ring. "You all right?" she asked right away. No small talk. "No. I need to see the kids." "They're with me. I figured you'd call today. Want me to bring them?" "No," I said. "I'll come get them. But I'm telling them. Today." She didn't argue. Just gave me the address. I don't know what Melanie told her, but Rachel sounded more disappointed than shocked, which told me plenty. I pulled up to Rachel's house 30 minutes later, heart pounding harder than when I found those call logs. Haley opened the door and launched into a hug before I could even knock. Owen stood back a little, hands in his hoodie pocket, looking confused and tense. "Hey, guys," I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. "Come on, we're going to go for a drive." In the truck, no one spoke for the first 10 minutes. I didn't bother making small talk. I just drove out to the old fishing spot their grandpa used to take us to. Quiet, no distractions, no ears. We sat on the tailgate, wind blowing soft off the water. Owen stared at the lake. Haley leaned into my side. "You're scaring me," she said quietly. I looked at both of them. "Your mom and we're not staying together." Haley's face crumpled in seconds. Owen just blinked, like he was waiting for the punchline. "Is this because of the surgery?" Owen asked. "Is because you've been off since then?" "No," I said. "This isn't about me being sick or blind or anything like that. This is about your mom making choices I can't live with." Haley started crying. I put my arm around her, but I didn't soften anything. They deserve the truth. "She's been seeing other people behind my back for a long time." Owen flinched, but he didn't look surprised. "That hurt more than I thought it would." "She said you were always angry," he muttered. "Maybe I was, but I was never disloyal." "There's a difference." He kicked a rock across the dirt. "Did she tell you about the guy that dropped her off last month?" I froze. "What?" "I saw him," Owen said. "Tall dude. Beard. Thought maybe it was someone from work, but when I asked, she snapped at me and told me to mind my own business." Haley wiped her nose. "She used to leave the house at night and say she was going to the store, but she'd come back smelling like new perfume. Not her regular one." My stomach turned. They'd noticed. They'd seen things and kept quiet, maybe even doubted themselves because of how convincing she was. That made me angrier than anything. "You guys didn't do anything wrong," I said. "None of this is on you, and I'm not disappearing. But I'm going to fight for you. I want you both with me." Owen nodded slowly, still not looking at me. Haley just leaned her head against my arm. We sat there for a while longer, letting it sink in. When the sun started to drop, I helped them into the truck and drove back toward Nate's. I didn't know what the courts would say yet, or what lies Melanie would throw my way next. But one thing was crystal clear. The kids weren't blind. They'd seen more than I had. And now it was my job to protect them. I figured after dropping the truth on the kids, things couldn't get much worse. I was wrong. 3 days later, I got served. She filed first. Beat me to it by less than 48 hours. Not only that, but the paperwork came with a letter from her attorney accusing me of emotional volatility, and hostile behavior. Her claim that I'd created a toxic home environment and verbally abused her during my recovery. She twisted every single detail, turned my silence into aggression, my distance into control, my surgery into some kind of calculated excuse to spy on her. It was all backwards, upside down, total fiction, and somehow it still made my hands shake when I read it. I brought the papers straight to Shelby. "She's playing offense," he said, scanning the file like it was a grocery receipt. "Smart move. Makes her look like she's protecting herself. But this stuff's thin. You're gonna be fine." I didn't feel fine. I felt like I was bleeding out slow while she kept driving the knife in deeper. The woman who slept in my bed for over a decade was now building a case against me like I was the threat. I couldn't even wrap my head around it. "She's saying she's scared of me," I said, and still had the nerve to cry on my porch and ask me to give her time to explain to the kids. "She's scared of losing," Shelby said. "That's all this is." Later that night, I got a message from a block number. No name, just a text. "You're not the man she told me about. You deserve better." I stared at it for a long time. My first instinct was to reply and ask who it was, but I already knew. One of the other guys. Maybe Eli. Maybe Jared. Maybe someone else entirely. I deleted the message and tossed the phone on the couch. I didn't need pity from the same men she climbed into bed with. None of them had the balls to talk to me directly, and none of them deserved a single word back. The next day, I met with Shelby again to prepare for the custody hearing. We were going for joint at minimum, full if we could swing it. He dug up enough to paint a clear picture. Timelines, phone records, her multiple contacts, all while she was supposed to be home taking care of the kids or working. It wasn't bulletproof, but it was enough to fight. Then came the kicker. Shelby closed the folder and looked at me. "She's requesting the house," he said. I blinked. "The house?" "Yeah. Claims it's hers because you abandoned it. Says she's been the sole caregiver for the kids for the past month." I laughed, actually laughed. "She hasn't had the kids for more than 2 days since this blew up." "She's rewriting the story," he said. "Trying to get out ahead of everything." I nodded slowly, then stood up. "All right. Let her play her game." "You got something in mind?" "I'm going to stop reacting," I said. "I've been on defense since day one. That ends now." That evening, I called Owen and Haley again. I told them I was moving back into the house. Melanie wasn't living there anymore, and I wasn't about to let her turn my home into a crime scene full of made-up history. I told them if they were comfortable, they could come stay the weekend. Haley said yes before I even finished the sentence. Owen hesitated, then agreed. I spent the whole next day deep cleaning the place from top to bottom. Scrubbed the bathroom she used to hog every morning, washed the sheets, burned the candles she used to buy in bulk, boxed up every single thing with her name on it, and dumped it in the garage. I left only what was mine, what was real, what mattered. By the time the kids walked in Friday night, the place didn't smell like her anymore. Didn't feel like her anymore. It felt like mine again. Haley ran to her old room and squealed when she saw her favorite blanket folded on the bed. Owen wandered into the kitchen, noticed his favorite cereal on the counter, and gave me a look like he didn't know whether to smile or cry. "You good?" I asked him. He nodded. "Feels better here." "Yeah," I said. "It does." Then I turned off the porch light, locked the door behind them, and made sure this place stayed ours. 2 weeks later, I sat across from Melanie in the courtroom. She came in with her makeup caked on like she was headed to an interview, not a custody hearing. Her lawyer kept glancing over at me like I was supposed to squirm. I didn't. I had nothing to hide. Everything I'd done in daylight, while she was the one sneaking around like a teenager with a burner phone. The judge asked questions. I answered straight, told the truth, provided receipts, logs, messages, everything. Her side tried to spin it, said I was spitefully collecting evidence, like I was stalking her. The judge looked through the timeline, raised his eyebrows, then asked Melanie flat out why she had 3 different men's numbers saved under fake names. She stuttered, shifted in her seat, mumbled something about emotional support and complex personal struggles. He wasn't buying it. Neither was anyone else. Shelby leaned in close to me and whispered, "She's cooked." The judge awarded me primary custody, full rights to the house. And while she didn't lose visitation, the court made it damn clear she had to follow every rule by the book or risk losing more. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stood, shook the judge's hand, and walked out like I'd finally closed the door on a fire that had been burning way too long. But karma didn't stop there. A week after the ruling, I got a text from Rachel, Melanie's sister. It was a screenshot. Apparently Eli, her main guy, the one she risked it all for, had a fiancé, a pregnant one. She found out about Melanie, dumped him, and outed everything on social media. Screenshots, photos, full story. The post blew up in town, and suddenly Melanie wasn't just unhappy wife anymore. She was the homewrecker who didn't even get the man in the end. Even better, Jared, the gym guy, blocked her on everything right after. Word was he'd never even known she was married. She ended up losing both of them in the same weekend, then got laid off from her job 2 weeks later after her employer found out she'd been having private calls on company time. Her whole life finally split under its own weight. One lie after another catching up with her. No more excuses to stand on. Meanwhile, my life got quieter, better. I went back to work. Started cooking again. Actually slept through the night. The kids adjusted fast. Faster than I expected. Haley started drawing again. Owen signed up for track. We had dinner together every night. No secrets, no tension. And me? I didn't date. Didn't need to. I poured every ounce of energy into fixing the things she'd tried to break. In the house, in the kids, in myself. It felt good. Real. Like I was finally breathing air that didn't reek of manipulation. One night, months later, Melanie called. I let it go to voicemail. She tried again the next day. I answered that time. "Curtis," she said softly, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything." I stayed quiet, let her squirm in the silence. "I've been thinking a lot," she continued. "I messed up. I ruined everything, and I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I regret it." I looked out the window, watching Owen toss a football to himself in the backyard. "I don't hate you," I said, "but I don't pity you either." "I understand." "No, I don't think you do," I replied. "Because if you really understood, you wouldn't have waited until everyone left you to apologize." She sniffled, tried to say something else, but I ended the call. I walked outside, grabbed the football from Owen, and tossed it back. Life moved on without her just fine. If you were Curtis, would you have answered that final call or blocked her for good? Drop your answer in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.